It's time for the podcast. Yeah, the podcast is starting.
What's a podcast?
It's all gonna be alright in the end. It's gonna be alright. And if you've got some worries, my dear little friends, please rest your busy minds, because it's finally time for stories from now and then. Hi kids, welcome back to Stories from Now and Then. My name is Captain Blunderface, and before you know it, Nicola is going to bring us a really exciting part 2 of The Princess and the Goblin.
Daddy, you forgot to say where we are.
Oh, that's right, baby Blunderface. We are in the old library.
You have to say it again for the new people.
Okay, yes, so hi kids, welcome back to Stories from Now and Then. My name is Captain Blunderface, and we're here in the old library. And baby Blunderface is here, who is...
I'm 4.
And Deprecatus, who is sitting...
By the window.
By the window, where he belongs, apparently.
Can we please finish the story today?
Yes, we absolutely can. But before we finish the story, we have a shout-out for Emma and Noah in Thorndale, Ontario. Noah loves to read and create his own comics, and Emma's favorite pastime is doing gymnastics. So Emma and Noah, this story is for you. And with that, it is now story time. And we'll turn it over to Nicola for part 2.
Nicola, we're ready for you.
I'm so glad we're doing this. I can't wait to find out what's going to happen with those goblins. It's all very mysterious and curious, isn't it? Let's get straight into it. The Princess and the Goblin, Part 2. After meeting Princess Irene on the mountain path, Curdie could not stop thinking about what he had heard in the mines. He had known for some time that the goblins were unusually busy underground. Their tunnels had spread farther than before, and strange sounds echoed through the rock at night. Hammering, whispering, and scraping. One evening, after finishing work, Curdie crept quietly through one of the narrow mine passages with his lamp held low. He moved carefully, listening. Soon he heard voices. Goblin voices. They were gathered in a hidden cavern nearby. Curdie crouched behind a rock and listened closely. The goblins were planning something dangerous. They had not forgotten the king who ruled above them, and they disliked Princess Irene because she belonged to the royal house. Their plan was to break through beneath the great mountain house itself. They intended to reach the rooms above and carry the princess away. Curdie's heart pounded. He leaned closer to hear more, but suddenly a small pebble moved beneath his foot. A goblin voice cried out, "Who's there?" At once Curdie ran. Behind him came shouting, scrambling feet and angry cries. He raced through the dark passages, turning sharply until he finally burst out into the night air and reached home, breathless. The next day he went to the mountain house to warn the servants, but most of them laughed. "Goblin stories again," they said. Only Irene listened seriously. That evening, Irene felt restless and uneasy. She climbed once more to the hidden tower. There, just as before, her grandmother sat beside the spinning wheel. The silver thread gleamed softly in the light. "I knew you would come," said the old lady. Irene hurried forward. "Curdie says the goblins are planning something," she said. Her grandmother nodded gently. Then she placed the little ring in Irene's hand. The fine thread was wound around it. "Put this under your pillow tonight," she said, "and if ever you are frightened, follow the thread." "But I can hardly see it," said Irene. "You do not need to see it clearly," said her grandmother. You only need to trust it. That night, Irene went to bed with the ring beneath her pillow. The house grew silent. Wind brushed the windows. Then, sometime after midnight, she woke. She could hear a sound in the darkness, a low, scraping sound, stone against stone. Her room felt strangely cold. Remembering her grandmother's words, Irene reached beneath the pillow and found the ring. At once she felt the delicate thread under her fingers. It led away from her bed. She slipped quietly onto the floor and followed it. The thread led her out of her room, along dark passages, down staircases, and through parts of the house she had never entered at night. At last it brought her to a little door near the lower part of the house. The thread passed underneath it. Irene opened the door. There, to her astonishment, she found Curdy tied up on the floor. He had been worried about Princess Irene and come into the house to protect her, but some servants had thought he was a thief and locked him in the small room. Irene quickly untied him, but before he could say anything, the whole floor trembled. A deep cracking sound came from below. The goblins had broken through, but there was another sound of water rushing and roaring through the underground passages. Clever Curdy had guessed their tunnel's path earlier that day and opened a channel from the mountain stream above. Now the water was rushing into the goblins' caverns below. They could hear wild cries and confusion. The goblins fled through their tunnels as the waters flooded their hidden chambers. The danger passed as suddenly as it had come. By morning, the mountains seemed all calm again. The servants were very shaken to realize that Curdy's warnings had been true, but Irene was no longer afraid. She climbed once more to the tower, but when she reached the little room, it was quiet and empty. The spinning wheel stood still, sunlight touched the floor, and yet the room felt peaceful, as though someone had only just stepped away. Irene smiled. She knew her grandmother had not truly gone. And from that day on, Irene and Curdy became close friends. One was a princess, the other a miner's son, but both had courage. And both knew that sometimes the strangest things in the world are also the most true. And deep beneath the mountain, in dark places where sunlight never reached, the goblins remembered them both for a very long time. How clever of Curdy to flush out those mountain goblins using water through the tunnels. And how clever of Princess Irene to believe Curdy's warnings and to listen to her grandmother and to follow that thread. It meant that everything worked out just fine. And because the two children became friends through this adventure, I don't think the princess was ever lonely again. Sharing an adventure with someone can be the best way to make a really strong friendship. Good luck with all of your adventures this week.
And that is the end of The Princess and the Goblin. Thank you, Nicola. That was a really, really wonderful story.
Oh, I want to hear that one again and again.
Well, you can. As long as you hit follow and just add us to your podcast library, you won't miss a single episode.
New episodes every week.
That's right. And if you'd like a shout out, just send us a DM on Instagram @storiesfromnowandthen. Tell us your name and something you love, and you could get a shout out on a future episode. Stories from Now and Then is narrated by Nicola Ward, music by Captain Blunderface, and Captain Blunderface played by Evan Wiebe, Baby Blunderface played by Goldie Wiebe. See you next time, everybody.
Bye-bye. See you around.
Stories from Now and Then.